Here we go, starting off with the bang, Gnar and GP, two top laners taken right off the board. And of course, we are playing on 8.2, so Rise is going to be taken away as well.
The Gnar ban against QV, probably the best Gnar in the world. His Gnar, Mega Gnar ultimate we saw last time was insane, 5-man ulti. So we'll have that denied away. Speaking of denials, Faker will not be able to jump on the Zoe, but when you see Zoe and Gnar hitting the ban list, even the Gangplank, means that quite a lot is going to filter through. In 8.2, we've seen very little AD carry bans, so the Ezreal has still been very high priority. People are considering the Kalista as well. So we're going to hit the final bans here. Very interested to see where the attention is. Do they ban away, say, Haru's Rengar, for example, on the blue side? It could be considered, but no. They stick with the tier list and ban away the Sejuani. My impression is that Blossom wants to go very heavy on the skirmishing advantage. Something like a Kha'Zix really fits his style. We'll see if that's going to be picked early, but the Azir banned away means that a lot of the first-round mid laners have been taken out.
Yeah, a lot of those first picks you would normally see. I mean, the Kalista, the Ezreal that you were talking about, still available here. Ezreal for Bang makes a lot of sense. Do they want to first pick it, though, is the real question. Lots of thought going into the last ban and the first pick here for SKT. They're hovering the Galio, and that's going to be the pick.
And a lot of people at home, a lot of SKT fans will groan because Galio, and specifically SKT on Galio, have not been able to pull off much on the blue side. When you think of the scenario where it's picked, the only answering pick that makes a lot of sense is the Corki. When it comes to normal meta stuff, Azir would have been the first choice by Crown. It's banned away. A lot of farm lanes can go into it, but given the bans, it felt like too much of a cost to bring Ultra Comfort to KSV. The cost is going to be Ezreal, and might just be a very early reach for an entire bot lane. CoreJJ's played a lot of Braum this season. Last time out against BBQ, it felt like they got no value out of the Cosmic Radiance and it was well kited. They're still going to consider it. It would still be comfort, but I'd be surprised to see it taken this early. And this lock-in Camille, a flex pick between Haru and QV.
Yeah, I would expect QV to pick that one up, but we'll have to wait and see. The flex pick, as you did mention. They're thinking about taking the Rengar away from Haru here. So
the reason why I actually disagree with that is that it's actually, Camille's a really good matchup into Kha'Zix. So if it's Kha'Zix taken on the blue side, I think they'd like to flex Camille into the jungle. If it's not, then I think that you're right. There is a really, very real chance we will see the top lane Camille in this game. Let's see Tal on more of his aggressive picks. I know he's got his pocket Trundle as well. That's what it's actually named for, his ID. It's about locking in Trundle to Hal. But it's going to be Varus, just a bit of lane presence taken so far. Look at this, though. They're going to lock in the Vladimir. Expected to be for the top laner, expected to be for Tal. It is aggression. Let's see what KSV makes of this early round drop, because there's a lot of CC and AoE wombo from the side of SKT.
Yeah, but definitely a couple of picks that you can ban out going into the next phase, like a Jarvan from the jungle, something like that, to go with the Galio.
Zac
also
as well.
the Zac or the Kha'Zix. Definitely a bunch of picks that you would have to think about banning going into this next phase. The Braum is going to be picked up here for CoreJJ.
Usually when you look at the first three picks, you have a pretty good idea of what a team wants to do. And I think KSV will look at SKT and say, okay, they're looking to group up and wombo, something they've failed to do multiple times this season. Let's focus on reinforcing our side lanes and being able to play 1-3-1. That's what KSV is trying to do in the draft. And look at support bans for now. Tahm Kench, the first denial here away from Wolf, is still playing a lot of jungle in his solo queue, so taking away one of his famous legacy support picks, but we mentioned the Corki as an answer to the Galio. No mid laner yet selected. I wonder if we're going to see Crown go ultra hipster and go for something like a Victor into this matchup, or really go into a different control mage, because right now the meta stuff is gone when it comes to the mid lane. The only other thing we've seen him on famously against Galio, he tried one time, it was at the Gangnam Stadium, was the Fiora. I don't think we're going to see that again. His Fiora left a lot to be desired.
Yeah. Please, no. I do not want to see that again. I'm sure a lot of people do, but you envision, right, Khan going in Riven up against the GP up in the top lane, but that's not the way it wins. Maybe it would be a little bit different here, but we are going to have the Malzahar banned out once again up against the Galio.
And really nothing with lane priority against Galio that's been picked with any regularity is available. So I'm very interested to see where Crown will go. Usually he has that small effective champion pool, so a Talia just to wave clear in the face of the Galio seems likely. They're not going to early round it. They're actually going to go for pretty early confirmation. So the flex pick is denied just to hide the mid lane matchup for Crown. Now I'm thinking maybe he'll get super creative, but it is going to be the Orin for the top lane. There's going to be a farm lane against the Vlad, but a free lane for the Vlad as well. Arguably against Galio, something for KSV will get a free lane. You mentioned the Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix and Galio is an old staple, but they're going to go for the bouncy castle. The Wombo combo is here.
Even better.
Yep.
You get into that back line, we've seen it happen before.
And I really need to see something from Crown that can play the side lane. Talia can do that, but they weren't able to pull off Talia comps very well the last time out. They looked very poor on the tier. 2 losses against the Rocks Tigers. What will we see from Crown as an answer to the Galio?
Ooh.
It's an old favorite of his. We don't see this matchup often. It's usually just Cassiopeia and Rise. So on the first day of the season. Okay, it's going to look for pretty heavy punish. Cassio was indirectly nerfed on this patch because you do draw minion aggro when you go for your Twin Fangs. So while it's not really relevant at level 2 because your Q was already drawing minion aggro, at level 1, where you just walk up and try to proxy the wave, Faker famously doing that against Maple at MSI, you cannot do that as freely. You do take trade damage, but the Cassiopeia is something they hold on to for a while. Arguably because it's something that's very easy to gank, it is exploitable, but they'd already taken Jarvan, so they're going to pick Cassio for comp. Big mid lane consistent damage, but risky. Cassio is very feast or famine.
He's got to be on his game, right? One of the best disengaging ultimates in the game, but it's really hard to aim. You have to have nearly perfect timing, and it's also hard to pull off against a Galio that's jumping directly on your head, right? You can't aim up as Cassiopeia.
And it's much more than that. It does feel like a self-counter bit because Vlad's going to be ghost flashing after you with the hero's entrance on you. Jarvan's going to be diving as well. This is the sort of game where Cassio can't actually get the multiple spell rotations off because there's so much engaged. So very surprising to see it chosen. Good in the laning phase. Potentially you get a big vision lead. SKT are anemic, don't have their items, and sure, you can boss around. But this is a risky choice by Crown, who this season, and honestly, since spring season, hasn't been inviting a lot of attention with his picks. He's gone safe rather than going for a combative choice. He's got his collar up today, he's popped it out. He wants to be the big carry.
Yeah. They banned away his Zoe. He's 5-0 in Zoe, but we don't get to see it here in game number 1. Maybe in game 2 when they're on blue side. Either way, guys, we're ready to go here. The countdown is about to begin for KSV versus SKT. Game number 1. Let's get into it. Well, the SKT fans, they've been doing it for a long time. They were a little bit more together on that cheer. KSV a little bit all over the place. Still very loud cheers for both teams.
I mean, both these fans just 3 months ago, in fact, 100 days ago today, would have been watching at home, you'd imagine, in Seoul, as the World Final between Samsung Galaxy and SK Telecom T1 was played exactly 100 days ago. So cool to see it here again, finally. In different scenarios than you would have expected preseason. It's one of those matches you circle, World Championship rematch, 2 of our big contenders, at least preseason. This season has been very cruel to SKT fans. They do come off a victory for only the 2nd time of the season, and their fans will be thinking, what if? They'll already be thinking, maybe we're back. But Blossom showed some great moments and also some big headache moments for fans and coaches alike. He's definitely an ultra wild card. And while KSV have looked weak recently, it is kind of hard to read where this game is at. KSV do come in on paper the favorites, but by what margin? I don't think anyone really has a great grab on how strong SKT is right now.
It's just the old Samsung and the new KSV kind of dilemma they put themselves in, where they come into playoffs and they come into the world stage and they look so much better. The preparation really pays off, but sometimes in LCK you wonder, what is this team doing? Why is it like this?
Just look at 2017. In the regular season, Samsung actually were able to go 6-2, so 3 2-0s in a row. They had the number of SKT-T1, and predictably when it comes to Samsung, they lost 3-0 in the playoffs, as they're wont to do. But it was all about the World Championships, right? They were powering up. for the World Finals and then shock the world with their win over SKT, especially in dominant fashion. 3-0 to end the undefeated streak of SK Telecom at Worlds. Did end up being Haru on the Camille, and can be a really fun matchup between the Camille and the Jarvan. A lot of mobility, a lot of gank threat from both of them. Waiting for the Keystones to let us know. There they are. And Phase Rush being taken by Crown.
Haru coming in here early, making things interesting, trying to push Faker out of the lane.
One rotation does a lot of damage.
He's forcing Faker to go back and switch to TP potentially. Faker does stay, still has one of the procs on his potion. And of course with the inspiration tree, you can get some more regen with that.
So when it comes to the other choice, Wolf will be potentially doing some cross-map plays, but answered by Core JJ. Both the supports are taking the Unsealed spell, but becoming the standard. Phase Rush on Crown. Most interesting one here. So not going to be for lane presence, not the Summoner area, it's not the Comet. It is Phase Rush, just for, you know, the kind of machine gun play. It gives you that slow resistance, 75% slow resistance. You are able to proc 3 spells pretty easily as a Cassiopeia once you start hitting your full rotation. That's really about team fights, is to stop him being kited as easily. Of course, the query is, will he not just be womboed to death by the enemy team? As Haru not having the most fun with the Krugs.
Is he going to have time to get 3 spells off before he gets dunked by the combo of Galio Jarvan? Was very surprised that they let that go through. We've seen the effectiveness of that before.
But not the effectiveness by SKT in particular. That was with Blank, but their synergy on similar Galio Zac comps and other comps very similar to this one has been off. Their communication clearly was not fantastic. Now there's a couple less cooks in the booth. There's no longer Untara, there's no longer Blank, both of which with significant competitive experience. What it actually means for their communication now that they have a true rookie in Blossom and Tal, who's played, what, 11 games, is very interesting to see. They've reinforced bot lane, no effort in the lineup. There is Wolf here again. Does that mean they actually have their timings down? Because again, it's been very noticeable that SKT have been off when it comes to their usual teamfight synergy.
You have to wonder where they're putting the leadership in their team. We've talked about this before, but as more and more rookies make it into the lineup, is it Faker? Is it Wolf? Is it a combination of them? Does Bang even talk in the comms? Is he any part of the decision making? All big questions to keep in mind. And we're seeing Haru return to mid lane once again, just trying to push Faker back and hopefully out of the lane. So far it's been pretty even. Hasn't really fallen down to the pressure of Cassiopeia.
There's so many questions with SKT. What is their best 5-man roster? I can understand going with this 5-man roster today, but will this be their roster come summer season? Will they be reinforcing? Do they have ultra confidence?
Will there be someone new?
Exactly. These are all questions we can't know the answer to. Blossom is so fresh, and it's fresh for a gank as well.
Well, they did see him in there. I think there was a zombie ward that spotted him out, so Kive doing the smart thing. The lane is pushing anyway, so it doesn't have to be on top of the wave. Spots Jarvan coming in, knows the positioning, and can return to the lane. It's interesting to see the phase rush. You were mentioning that before. I think a lot of people agree that it is one of the current worst runes that we do have out of them all, but Cassiopeia might just be the one person to use it effectively. One or two people.
It's very situational. I agree that the power level could be higher to take it more in a blind sense. There's no champion who you would say is best with phase rush except maybe Aurelion Sol, and even then Unsealed Spellbook probably outscales it, at least on patch 8.2.
Not bad.
Yeah, Glacial Augment not bad. So given how situational it is, very, very low usage in solo queue, I can understand the view that it's underpowered. I'm very interested to see how it's adjusted because I think more numbers is not necessarily what it needs. Maybe easier to proc. But
then again, 2 spells is like, there are a lot of people who have 2 spell combinations, and all of a sudden everybody's going to be taking phase rush and rushing around the map.
Well, that would be akin to the old rune that it replaced, of course, the Storm Raider Surge that did end up being the go-to by the time we hit Worlds. Again, I'm not on the balance here. I don't have this solution, but it just feels too situational right now. When it comes to the secondary tree, it is going to be presence of mind taken. Thank you, SpoTV, for reacting there. That was what I was expecting. Whenever you see a mid lane mage going down that tree, you can be very confident that it's going to be presence of mind just to have the mana cost disregarded on level up and also on kill.
Yeah. And then, of course, coup de grace at the end of it there. Just give her a little bit of extra damage towards the end.
A little bit more oomph.
We're looking again. And, of course, did take Scorch on the Cassiopeia. That can be very oppressive in the lane. We haven't really seen it too much against Faker, but maybe the Gathering Power would have been better in this case.
Yeah, the Gathering Storm could have been considered, but his role is to hold down Faker in the early game, to keep him in lane. The issue that he has is that he has that secondary problem of not necessarily the matchup against Galio, it's the fact that Jarvan isn't, there's no aggressive wards. They have no idea where Jarvan is. If Cassio dies twice in lane, she may never crest the items she needs to be able to boss around either Vladimir or the Galio in a side lane. So there's a lot of risk to the Cassio pick. That's why she's playing a bit more respectful as top lane.
Yeah, we got a close look at this earlier on in the CGs we had prepared, and already the more experienced top laner is getting the better of our newer rookie Tal, who doesn't even stay to take the wave. Actually just takes TP and goes back, so is going to miss a bit.
And okay, very interesting purchase. Does not go towards the Proto Belt. He's actually going to buy straight up the AP Sightstone item as a one buy here. Now this, of course, doesn't give the speed up anymore. Does give the vision, does give gold generation, does have health scaling to AP. It's a very interesting purchase coming in here.
Well, it's certainly going to help out with their vision score as a team, that's for sure.
Of course, does not get the vision until the quest is fully enacted, so take time.
Haru in a bit of trouble here, but is Camille. Nice Cataclysm coming on in. They force the flash away. Even the heroic entrance being blown here, they really wanted that flash against Haru.
Yeah, the flash was proactive because, you know, when you see a Cataclysm used there, you know the only reason to do that is the hero's entrance. Trading Haru's flash for the hero's entrance being on cooldown for a long time is a trade up when it comes to the safety for the laners. Haru's trying to turn on to Tal.
See what he can get done here. Haru was recalling, and Tal in by himself. What the hell? They put themselves over the wall, and now Galio's here to help out. A huge mistake by the side of KSV, almost laughable at the time. And Tal gets away.
Yeah, the mind games around the blast plant was available to all three people, but outplayed by Tal. Very nice there. We'll live from all of this. Haru will go on the invade, feeling a bit sheepish. They weren't able to secure first blood. QV, well, he's on, so he doesn't care. Just buys an item and goes back to lane, but...
I just want to get a slow-mo replay of exactly what happened there.
There was no real time for Haru to clear the blast plant before Vladimir got there, so there was always going to be a pretty specific timing. Haru's flash was down, so at least KSV didn't invest any flashes to make that even more laughable. But amusing result nonetheless.
Yeah, it's always funny to play around with the plants. We'll see if they add any more things to the map in the future. Maybe Season 9. We'll have to wait and see.
Season 9, the dream. Coming to a rift near you. Brown just walks away. We do get the Gathering Storm that I was looking for on OGN days. Faker taking it interestingly on the Galio.
Yeah, and a lot of Ezreal's taking it as well down in the bottom lane.
I mean, you build so much mana that you don't need things like mana flow bans, so I can understand it there. And if you're on KSV, long games against SKT are very, very possible. First buy here from Haru, very Rengar-esque. He's gone for the Tiamat first. Does this a lot in solo queue when he's on Rengar, and it's kind of a Rengar only usually. There was a time when Lee Sins used to go for Tiamat into Hydra Rush, but we'll work on the Warrior Enchant second. He's not snowballing. Bot lane.
Okay, double dazzle here. Ezreal very safe though behind. Bang taking a little bit of damage in the front. Just some trading down in the bottom lane, even though the Relic Shield has gone bye-bye. Still don't have the most action in the bottom lane.
From SKT's perspective, you would expect that all they really want is for Bang and Wolf to go even, and that's kind of been their assignment ever since they joined the SKT squad in 2015. Hold on to the point, though, as Haru's mid lane.
Oh, nice block on the dash here. Faker still has the flash available, but there's the Miasma trying to burst him down. Not enough, and Faker, very Khan-esque, saves his flash. A very smart thing to do. Knew he wouldn't need it, that he could outlast the damage.
I'm sure he had one finger on the stopwatch just in case. Top lane again.
Oh, the Ignite comes in here. Now we do have the call. The Forge God wants to knock him up. The stopwatch is there. Here comes Blossom for the assist. And they do get Tal out of danger once again. He's been in danger a lot this game, Papa.
It's a good read by QV onto the incoming jungler. Stopwatch is already used. He got the maximum there. Didn't get the kill, but able to blow a lot of resources from Tal. And this also interrupts the Rift Herald that was started by Blossom. So Blossom has walked up, taken a Drake, but tried to get the Rift Herald as well, not being able to. Clearly being called to focus on the neutrals here as the lanes are tricky. And coming back to bot lane, I think Wolf and Bang going even. Because right now, if you're watching Korean solo queue ladder, Ruler and KSV are actually only duoing. They're playing every single game as a duo. They have exactly identical games played on their fresh account and also LP. So they're playing exclusively together, potentially to crush in lane. Wolf is still splitting his time between jungling and support. So given that Bang and Wolf have never really as a duo been big duo partners in solo queue, Ruler and KSV, the matchup doesn't demand it, but the recent form suggests that KSV winning through bot lane is one thing the coaches will be talking about.
Definitely is true. We talk a lot about practice. It's necessary in regular sports and in eSports. And the team that's going to be practicing more generally will get better. It's not a new idea. It's not too hard to think about. So I like the idea from Ruler and KSV to make that work.
And a big nickname for specifically Crown, but all of Samsung Galaxy into KSV were the Grinders, because these guys are famous for playing the most solo queue games of basically any professional team. They've always been known to play a lot of games. They may not have the natural talent of the best in the world like Faker, but they work so hard that it overcomes some of those things. You know, Crown famously, small effective champion ball. I think 2016, the Victor was the one everyone knew, but will work to learn champions or learn how to play against champions. He'll spam champions that don't fit his playstyle, like Lucian, just to understand them from the enemy's perspective. So it's always been how he plays. Cassio is comfort for him, though. So seeing if he can have a big game here when you look at the comp and you say, man, no Merc treads, because of course Cassio can't build boots, only has the cleanse. Yeah. It's a tricky assignment for him here, but it's one he opted into.
Well, we do have Blossom trying to make some kind of effect on the map over and over. As you mentioned, he did get the Ocean Drake before, but outside of that, hasn't really had an opportunity to make himself known. He's looking for a dive down on the bottom side. Chain of Corruption does get Braum stuck up here. Gonna jump aside, but Blossom was looking for the combo. They need to wait for the minions to push on in.
KSV or Crown.
Okay, and here we go. Galio making his way in. Nice dodge by Ruler, but it's 4-on-2 now with Cosmic Radiance. That's gonna be enough to get one. Can they get two? The flash comes in from KSV. Faker wants a little bit more, but there it comes in. And now KSV is gonna TP down on the bottom lane. But again, 4-on-1, and he's all alone under turret. Should not matter. One knock-up into the damage. Just a little bit more will do it. It's kind of funny to watch the Galio and the Jarvan and the Taric trying to get damage, but they cannot kill him. Faker's still trying to get on top of him. A double taunt, and finally they do it. Takes long enough, but that's going to be enough to get that down. Crown in the mid lane, and the Rift Herald being taken by Haru, just ignoring the bottom side, trying to get map objectives.
But it still ends up being 3 kills for SKT and KSV. What are they thinking? Crown did not have, he doesn't have the teleport, of course he's gone cleanse. KSV had Ignite at the time, so only could go back and then very late teleport to the bot side. They could have just given up the objective and a single kill. The gank timing from SKT was intelligent. We haven't seen enough teams take advantage of summoners. Seen a lot of weird summoners in bot lane where 4 people have been rocking up with teleports. But the turret dive does come in with the Galio to reinforce. Ruler had expected there to be early action. He went Trinity Force to have some mid-game impact. That's not relevant when you're getting turret dived. It took a lot of extra time, which SKT would have preferred to be spent doing other things, but they still get the turret. They still get 3 kills, and KSV never disengaged.
It's definitely a moment in solo queue, especially in Korea, where everybody would be question pinging Haru and Crown, because it takes so long for them to finally kill everybody. And as you mentioned, yes, they could have just backed off, given up the tower. But had they rotated 2 more people, they could have just swept everybody on the side of SKT. They would have at least made it a lot more careful, or close rather, instead of just getting 1 extra turret.
I mean, KSV staying alive kind of makes the situation look worse from Crown and Haru. Haru was taking the Rift Herald. They wanted to crash mid lane turret to make a longer lane for Galio to be more expected the next time he comes in. That part makes sense. It's mid lane.
Okay, they're going for KSV once again. They know his flash is down. This should be an easy kill. There it is. Even the TP from Tal, not even needed on the backside, but they get the kill.
They're actually on Ruler.
Okay, look at Bang going in. 1v2. Didn't see Haru there. Having a little bit of trouble, but Haru now getting himself caught. Oh boy, that's not going to be good. 1v4 as they're just running themselves into it at this point.
Yeah, it feels like KSV are on solo queue identities. You bring up the point, but they're just all alone. They're playing against a team of SKT. SKT is roaming around as a death squad.
And it's going to be enough. I mean, QV going 1v3 here. One Dazzle will finish him off. Tall getting the very important kill up in the top side, and this is very lopsided towards SKT.
I mean, the early game rating for SKT has to be an A+. They're at a 3,000 gold lead, 6-0 in kill score, but it's too easy because KSV are kind of one by one rolling in solo queue-esque and dying. Their map control is not great. At the time, they had 3 control wards on the top side, so of course you cheat to the top side when you're clearing wards. They were actually on bot side. That's how they ended up getting ganked. They had no vision on Blossom. When it comes to their lane positioning, when it comes to their decision-making, they're not playing to their summoner spells either. And you're allowing the Wombo combo from SKT that, like we say, has not worked the last 2 to 3 times they've run it, work very impressively against KSV today.
It's interesting to see SKT looking good, but definitely some big mistakes from KSV, not necessarily playing as a team. Haru trying to make this Camille jungle work again, where it hasn't worked for other people so far. 6-0 for SKT. Very far ahead early on.
Yeah, you have huge item timings as well. Wits End and Rageblade already finished on the Varus. Trinity Force and soon to be a Mana Moon is comparable, but flat resist penetration with the Wits End, and suddenly 10% more coming through from the Galio's purchase into the Abyssal Mask, and Vladimir is going to roll in and do sick damage. There's potential for true damage on multiple members, given that Haunting Guy is already complete onto the Vladimir. So the AoE Wombo, if it's not disengaged, which KSV in a normal game you would say is one of the most likely teams to be able to play around these sort of comps. They're so good defensively. We think of them as the shield here in Korea. The shield is showing quite a lot of holes. It's looking a little bit old. It needs to be reinforced, and we're not seeing that in this game.
Not seeing it just yet. I didn't get to see if Ambition was here in the studio. Generally, KSV and Samsung a team to swap out the jungler if game 1 does not go well. And the way this has gone so far, at least, definitely wouldn't be surprised to see a replacement later on. Some reinforcement for that shield.
Ambition does help with shot calling mid to late game, but if you listen to the players' interviews, in the early game may not be as communicative. You know, we know his style, it's very passive. The problem here is that KSV have gone for a narrow draft, picking up the Cassiopeia, and when you try and uncouple it, it can play 1-3-1. You can have Orin just doing his thing in the side lane. It can play 4-1, possibly with the Cassiopeia, because she can take Vladimir or Galio when she hits certain item timings. They haven't played that way, and now Crown's getting outplayed.
He missed every spell. Wasn't able to get that down. The TP is coming in. Kive will make his way in first. This will be a 5-on-4. Tal is nowhere near. Looking for an engage here. They do get the knock-up onto Faker, but they can't quite engage here. SKT staying together as a team. They're ready for that Cosmic Radiance.
Yeah, I believe Tal canceled a teleport.
Yeah.
So he couldn't be there, but KSV don't have any more hard engage from range when that ult is down from QV, so they just back away. My issue is they draft kind of this narrow draft, and they didn't play to it. In general, they opted into being outnumbered by SKT time and time again, so reward to SKT. Third time they're playing this comp, much better execution, playing around Blossom's aggressiveness, looking for the roaming death squad here, and so far pulling it off. But my surprise really is around KSV. It's being kind of absent at the wheel.
Definitely true. Interesting item here from Faker, going for the Zhonya second. After the Ninja Tabi, it's going to be a nice bit of armor, but also just to have that Zhonya's active going into the mid-game here.
As far as burst rotation, Galio's much more about 2 burst rotations in a fight rather than around full control, because he builds pretty heavy into ability power.
Blossom just flag and dragged in the KSV jungle. The TP comes in from Faker, but will cancel it.
Still some kinks to be worked out with the Blossom and Faker synergy, clearly.
Not sure about that one. Ornn with the most damage dealt in the game by far.
But I mean, Blossom has been a breath of fresh air. That's the thing that fans, I think, appreciated, is that while there were mistakes, there was pure on aggression that worked, you know, 50% of the time, maybe slightly less, but he was showing a lot of things that weren't being seen from Blank. Really, the accumulation of the losses seemed to have really affected his mentality.
Yeah.
His decision-making on Camille was especially atrocious the one game, and we haven't really seen him since then. They've been trying to blood Blossom, so we don't know where Blossom will end up, but just having someone here whose first thought is to attack seems to be enough for SKT, because certainly we're not questioning Blossom's mechanics. He's been top 30 in solo queue for the great majority of the past 4 months.
Yeah, and look at him so far, 100% kill contribution. He's working well together with the team. It's not a hard composition to pull off at the Galio, right? They're like, okay, go bottom, we're gonna dive with you, we're gonna help you out. And he kind of just is like, okay, I'll do it.
It's something that
it's nice.
If you think about what SKT had at Worlds, people criticize Huni, right? But he was an aggressive Valve for them to play around, and when he was overextending in top, it made so much sense for Faker to jump on Galio, and hey, if you're going to try and 1v1 outplay, I can respond first with the hero's entrance. We can double down on this winning lane in top. If you know Blossom, if nothing else, will be super aggressive, why not go for the Galio again and let him play aggressive, knowing the mid laner will react first? So it does feel like the draft is opening up Blossom to kind of do whatever he wants, play his natural play style, and the team is on the front foot in a way I haven't seen SKT for a very long time. It was Rox Tigers that played around an aggressive jungler in 2016. It was SKT that played controlled. We're seeing Bang and Wolf roam up just to allow their jungler to make impacts around the map.
It's a cool idea. You know, not even going for the Kha'Zix, but something that dives even deeper in the Jarvan. So far, it's been very nice for him. He's been super aggressive in the jungle up against Haru. And now he's looking for Crown. Actually does not dodge that ultimate, but he captures him in the Cataclysm. That's all he had to do. Lots of support here from KSV, but Crown is running towards Cuvee. 3 members coming in now, trying to save Blossom first. Is Wolf at the Cosmic Radiance. A very broken up fight, but the Cassiopeia goes down first. Really nice flat ultimate in the back line too. That's gonna be 2 kills. Can we make it 3? Core JJ, extremely low, but he does get away with this life. Super broken up. SKT gonna come ahead of that one.
And wherever Blossom goes, action will follow. Great follow-up from SKT. They're happy to take any fight right now. They're massively ahead in gold. 5,600-ish, still no kills on the board from KSV. Blossom walks up, steals away a Raptor, and they're turning on to Baron.
Stole everything there, the big one, 82 extra gold. They're going in, Haru has a chance here. They do have to push him back. You notice how they're stopping. Faker coming in, looking for the taunt, but they're DPSing this one in. It's going to be close. Haru tries, but he cannot get it. They kill him before he can even get a smite off. That's going to be the Baron to SKT.
And that moment is noticeable improvement for SKT. Blossom had the Baron stolen away and stole a Baron against BBQ. They free DPS'd it down against BBQ, and the steal came in from Bono. This time it was much better as we rewind a little bit. No flash up on Crown. He's trying to clear, but anywhere on the map is too far when there is the enemy team invading through vision. They knew that SKT was on this side, but Crown continued to push up. Takes a long time for him to die. The Cosmic Radiance is not used ideally. SKT are just piling in by the end, but this is a gold lead. This is the right mindset for them to attack. Attack they do, and to the aggressor, the spoils for SKT T1.
Yeah. Talked about that Cosmic Radiance. It was specifically to save Blossom and keep him alive in that fight, even after he had blown his entire combo. But they wanted to make sure the jungler could stay alive after the fight. Would they have to go for that Baron? Definitely worked out for them. Very one-sided, refreshing from SKT. It's only 1 turret off of a perfect game so far.
And it's really fun to see them now understand what Blossom brings to the team and play around it. You could see, I'm sure Koma is in the back kind of beaming at this game. Is it classic SKT super control? No. But is it the best and is it the smartest use of their current resources? I would say yes. I would say this is very intelligent for them to empower the natural aggressiveness and outplays that both Tal and Blossom, top 20 solo queue players, will want to push off. Galio makes a lot of sense for them. And Core JJ, Ruler, Crown, they can only run one direction. That's towards their base as the map gets narrower and narrower for KSV.
You see Blossom just 1v4 going in with the flag and drag with no escape outside of his flash, but still makes it work. Faker's diving under the turret against Crown. The perfect dodge there on the ultimate gets the solo kill underneath the turret. They're so far ahead. Faker, he's feeling confident again. He's showing off.
Yeah, there's the payback for World Final. No Malzahar for you this time, Crown.
Yeah.
Trying to outplay on the Cassio, not working. They keep pushing in. SKT wants to send game home early. They don't want to allow KSV a single kill.
Yeah, they want to push this one in. As you're saying, Blossom, it's so funny to just watch him walk in alone, totally fearless in the face of every single KSV member.
Here's our new overlay, by the way, guys. We do have the respawn timers for the inhibitor. Probably not going to be relevant in this game. But we're going to see a second one pile up soon, and 3 might actually roll down in one push.
It makes sense. I like this little graphic, especially for the super long games when it does matter for the specific ones. But as you mentioned, in this game, it's just going to be every inhibitor going down. 1, 2, 3, they fall like dominoes, and now they're engaging here onto the Yorn. That's going to be the bouncy castle onto one member, at least. Not able to fully engage, but chipping away at KSV as SKT looks strong, moving in as a team. Tall getting low, but having that Galio ultimate to keep him alive. Redemption coming on in, getting super low. Does keep him alive, and Blossom goes in. Nice little cataclysm. That's going to do it. Put 2 more on the board. Haru trying to make things interesting, but just cannot at this point. They are too far behind. That's going to be the second Nexus turret going down, and that is going to be game number 1. Going over to SKT over KSV. There you go, 1-0, 13-1, very one-sided.
The buddy system enacted by SKT T1. They make us a believer of the bouncy castle. They make us a believer of early integrating in Blossom, who 3 out of 4 games has been smiling at the end of it. The buddy system was so fun to watch. Everyone was trying to play around the natural aggressive tendencies, and seeing Faker, Wolf, and Bang actually aggressive, actually pushing and being opportunistic, no longer shackled by all the expectations of the fans and of the history, was heartening to watch for any SKT fan. If this is the SKT they want to watch, that's the SKT they got.
Blossom, a gigantic smile on his face, almost a relief as he bangs his head on the desk, just like the Jarvan, just as aggressive.
I'm sure he goes to people and says, hey, playing competitive League of Legends for SKT seems pretty easy. When your team is on the ball to empower you, the answer is truly yes. We didn't see this with Peanut. We didn't necessarily see it with Huni with any regularity. We're seeing it with Blossom. Whereas with KSV, what are we seeing on our screen? There's definitely disagreements. They are definitely not the unit that looked like the early frontrunners for the LCK Spring title. Not much synergy between the two. We caught the back end of this one here.
Watch the dodge. Boop.
Faker
See you later.
Faker always on point with those step backs. You think of his famous one on Riven versus Cassiopeia against Nagne in the Summer 2015 final. A little bit of swagger. We know it never left Faker. SK Telecom T1, how good are they? The answer today is pretty good.
The most refreshing part is to see all the SKT fans coming to support. They didn't give up on their team. They're still here. Let's see how they do going into game number 2 after a quick commercial break.